Welcome to another episode of Coffee and Whiskey with Ivy. I had a great week and a great weekend with a little bit of pain in my neck, pain in my back, etc. But it all went away because this beautiful bird landed in paradise last night. The top of the news for last week must be the 65 years of great government and the 65 years of doing good for Singapore. I'd like to know what you mean by doing good for Singapore. Who is Singapore and what is so good about what they have done for Singapore? You must slowly analyze what they're saying. But forget all that thing about good for Singapore. Let's look at Heng Swee Keat. You know, when people make a big speech, I look at the 10% that makes sense and I can understand it. His 10% that I look at seriously was people that he mentioned. The 10 names mentioned were Desmond Lee, Indrani Raja, Ong Ye Kung, Josephine Teo, Chan Chun Sing, Ng Chee Meng, Ash Ishwaran, Lawrence Wong, Vivian Balakrishna, and Masagos Zulkifli. I know most of them, and I would vote for the ones that I know who are good and honest. The few that I haven't met, I'm sure I will meet before the elections. Then I will tell you whether I will vote for them too. It is not about what they can do for the country. It's about who these men and women are in the new team and what they are going to do for you and me. Remember, vote for a good, honest political leader, and you and your family will be taken care of. At the PAP's 65th convention, the PM spoke of keeping faith in the PAP. We invite your feedback on these points: maintaining trust in the party, giving hope for the future, building social cohesion, and planning leadership succession. Rank these on a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being the most fulfilled. Go to the link to give us your feedback. And remember, your feedback is precious to us. Thank you. And now, the results of last week's poll question. Should the government continue allowing more and more condos to be built? 100% voted for no. Some of the reasons given: Singapore becoming a concrete jungle and it generates heat, more air conditioning, increases carbon footprint, so trying to get citizens to reduce the carbon footprint is total BS. I totally agree with the totally BS. Next one, it's time government make use of our land for farming, agriculture, poultry, barns to rear livestock, grow vegetable, fruits for our people for consumption. If Malaysia and Indonesia decide not to supply food, we are well prepared. Well put by this person too. Young couples cannot afford to buy them. Condos are built for the rich and foreigners to reap capital gain. Totally agree with this comment too. Poll question number 2. What should we include into our land use instead of condos? Some very, very good answers. More greenery. Leave those forests and jungle alone. We need them to cool the earth. Good point. More parks and spaces for public. Singapore is very cramped. I totally agree with that. More land for agriculture, farms. It is ridiculous to spend billions on military defense when our primary needs, which is food, are not self-sustaining. All they need to do is cut off food supply and we will be dead. No need to fire a single bullet. This sounds like something I would say, but it's not what I said because there's no bloody and there's no freaking in that sentence. Last one, our gardens can be used better to grow edibles instead of many good-to-see plants or trees. And for goodness sake, don't ever think of imposing fines on folks that pick the fruits from the ground when the authorities are not harvesting them. We should not have just total control and punishment for people who are simply harvesting fruit from the ground. And I totally agree with that too. Thank you for your comments. My last word on the PMD debacle, it shows how little our planners and our politicians know about what's happening on the ground. Our MPs and ministers must spend more time on the ground. And now, what should they do? They should allow the PMDs to ride on the road, especially where the speed limit is low, like 40 kilometers, 50 kilometers. It's quite safe. If they ride on the road, they can continue with their jobs, earning money, and the only people they will kill in that situation is themselves. So they will be very careful. A Sporting Lifestyle is just 10 minutes away, and they're building all this big $1.5 million stadium, how many $1 billion stadium. We don't need bigger than Ben Hur stadiums. All we need is for the landscape in HDB estates to be changed from prim and proper gardens into livable place where kids can kick their football around, they can play netball, they can do whatever they want to do, fishing, swimming, jump into the pond and try to drown themselves. Or they learn how to swim. Yeah. 1,000 homeless people. I'm sure there's more than 1,000 homeless people, but a lot of these people are people who find it very difficult to live with another person. Build smaller bedsit units where these people can live by themselves with their own bad habits until they kick the bucket. Look at what people need. Listen to the ground again. Don't force two people who cannot live together to live together. I'm sure many of you will understand that, right? Even with your husband, sometimes it's very hard to live with them. So you must have enough space to go outside and have a smoke or have a whiskey or something like that, right? 100 million package to train rail workers. Why is government always having to go and rescue these people when they are incompetent? Right, we should sack the incompetent people, hire good people, and make them run our MRT, make them run our port, make them run everything. It's incompetence. We shouldn't go to the rescue of incompetent management. This week's plan starts with the word R. It is for rice. 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 This is how it's grown. This is what it looks like after it ripens and is harvested. And coincidentally, I saw two articles in the papers, one in the opinion page, all that glitters is not golden rice, and this one, watch that hidden poison in your rice. Besides seafood, rice products have the highest arsenic content. Long-term exposure is linked to cancer. But do not panic. There are also some points that tell you that not all rice is bad. You must be very careful what rice you buy that doesn't contain arsenic. Most interestingly, a lot of organic rice, so-called organic rice, actually contains a lot of arsenic. Read the two articles in the papers on rice. Thank you for watching another episode of Coffee and Whiskey with Ivy. If you are free this weekend, come to Paradise and see my bird. Please subscribe if you haven't done so. I've told you this a bloody million times. Thank you.